Summer Game Fest may seem like it's a complete Switch skip out, but that's why I'm here to bring you 15 awesome newly announced games that are actually very cool and you can look forward to on Nintendo Switch. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. Despite this showcase being centralized on other platforms, plenty of things did get announced for Switch, and I've got them ranked from 15 to 1. Let me know which of these games you're most excited for, or if there's any you think I left off. All these games are brand new announced for Switch, no updates, no DLC, brand new games. At number 15, we have The Thing Remastered, which is bringing back the horrific squad-based third-person shooter from 2002. Now, this is an old game, but remasters have found a lot of life and a lot of love as of late. I think The Thing is a pretty cool game idea, and as far as I remember, this game is actually pretty solid. If they can remake it with interesting graphics and nice updated control touches, it's a pretty cool adventure, and just the whole concept of The Thing in the Arctic spooky lands should be a fun time portably. Number 14, we have Quidditch Champions, the Harry Potter entry of the year. While Hogwarts Legacy just got a summer update, Quidditch Champions is brand new and will be $30, so it's a budget-priced multiplayer title allowing you to play the sport of Quidditch. We might not get a Mario sports game this year, so I think, hey, coming out in September, this should be a pretty fun time, especially for Harry Potter fans, but it mostly makes my list for its smart price point. At $60, I don't think this really grabs anybody, but at $30, if it's fun, maybe we can justify it. Number 13 is Minami Lane, which is a Tanuki-based lane simulator. You'll be building your lane, managing your shop, selling your goods, and petting cats. It's a very cozy, cute game, one that has previously reviewed quite well on Steam and is coming out to Nintendo Switch soon. I think a lot of you that enjoy things like Animal Crossing will get quite a kick out of this one. Number 12, we've got Tiny Lands 2, which is a gorgeous, hyper-realistic spot the difference game with all sorts of crazy scenarios. This reminds me of Dixit become video game. Like, if you ever played Dixit or Stella, where you're crafting these crazy stories with gorgeous art and insane scenarios, that's Tiny Lands 2. And zooming in on hyper-realistic bread, hyper-realistic marshmallows, trying to spot the differences, I don't know, I think this game is just a joy to behold, and even though it's a smaller adventure, hey, like, I'm down for something simple once in a while, and it seems like it'll be a great portable title on Nintendo Switch. At number 11, we have Fruit Bus, which is, like it says, you get a fruit bus. It kind of gives me quirky vibes of almost like Bugsnax or Viva Pinata, as well as a food simulator where you're going around collecting different fruits and foods, making the dishes on your food truck, and then selling them to hungry, happy customers. It seems like a very joy-filled, cozy adventure, but one that does have a little bit more mechanically than the typical cozy game, so it does appeal to me more strongly than most. I'm looking forward to this one, and hopefully we get to play it later this year on Nintendo Switch. At number 10, we've got Fear the Spotlight. This game would be higher, but it freaks me out. This is one of those PS1 era looking games that has two sisters on some sort of crazy ghost hunt. This was part of the Blumhouse package of games revealed at Summer Game Fest, where the movie makers Blumhouse are now publishers of like 5 or 6 video games. Fear the Spotlight looks like one of the coolest ones. After the success and awesomeness of Crow County earlier this year, I am down for another PS1 type title. This one coming to Switch will be super sweet and also probably very scary. Number 9, we've got Diesel Legacy, which looks to be a super crazy cool fighter. It's 2-on-2 steampunk mob era fighting, but with 3 lanes. So it's trying to be a more complex, innovative, interesting fighting game, and I applaud that. There's so many fighting games, so many 2D fighting games. If you want to crack the mold, you got to do something very different and evolutionary, and that's what Diesel Legacy is trying to do. I think it's got a great style, and like this whole like crime boss mob steampunk era visual style with gorgeous hand-drawn backgrounds, like it really comes together, and I think this one could be a lot of fun provided you have a partner to play with. At number 8, we've got Prisma, which is the follow-up title from the makers of Cris Tales. Cris Tales is a pretty sweet RPG, and Prisma is now a camera-based RPG. The unfortunate thing about this game is that it is coming to Kickstarter, and those usually take A, long time, and B, require a lot of fan funding. Not the biggest fan of those types of projects, but because of the developer's legacy, I will give them a spot on this list. I think the idea of using different lenses to affect the combat and affect your exploration of the world sounds very cool. I'm excited for Prisma, but we definitely will need to see more. At number 7, I've got Tenjutsu, which is an upcoming Devolver Digital joint from the designer of Dead Cells. So this is going to be a combat-focused crime Yakuza type game where you're taking down different crime syndicates, boosting the resources of the city as you free them from their stupor, and then beating everybody up, collecting upgrades and items, and more. Anything by the Dead Cells main team, I will give a go. Rogue Prince of Persia, done by Dead Cells. Tenjutsu, done by other Dead Cells people. Dead Cells is phenomenal on Switch. I think Tenjutsu will be as well. Combining Dead Cells and Devolver, I mean, that's a combination that has to be a winner. But Devolver's big winner to me is Possessors. This was their other newly announced title this year, and it's made by Heart Machine, and it looks like it has one heck of a vibrant beating heart. The graphics and colors are just hypnotic. I feel like this game grabs you and takes a hold, even though it is a traditional 2D like Metroidvania combat side scroller type experience. It does look like it's going to be a special one. Heart Machine has done great work in the past with their titles, and I do feel this one has some sort of spark that oftentimes is lacking and just makes other 2D side scrollers feel quite generic. I don't get that sense from Possessors. We don't have a release date for this game or Tenjutsu, but both of them are going to be heavily anticipated because of the Devolver connection and because of their developer history as well. Number 5 is going to be Civilization 7. For some of you, this might be number 1. It's announced for Switch in 2025, which to me may mean Nintendo Switch 2, but alas, Sid Meier's latest and greatest is coming to Switch, which is pretty sweet. This was 2K's big announcement from Summer Game Fest, and whether it's because I just can't get into these games or because I'm bitter that BioShock was not announced yet again, I'm going to put it at number 5 for me. I do know that this is very popular, very beloved. I just find myself having a hard time getting into a game that's this slow paced. And I know that's great strategy for some, but for me, I'd prefer something like my number 4 title, UFO 50. This is done up by Derek Yu, the maker of Spelunky, and is basically its own console. They decided to try to make a game with 50 games where it was like, what would happen if you bought a console from the 80s today? So they're utilizing modern sensibilities and modern game design ideas, but old school graphics to make 50 games where there's something for everyone. They say there's like an overarching story that kind of ties it all together. Half the games are multiplayer, half the games are single player. The project is just brilliant to me. Creating like a full console of games spanning all these different genres is such an epic undertaking. The fact that they've done it, the fact that it's coming out in September, and the fact that they better bring it to Switch, because both Spelunkys are on Switch. I expect they will, and Derek Yu himself said he'd love to put it on Switch. This one's going to be there. It might just not be day and date. Number 3 is going to be Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. After the absolute perfection that was Shredder's Revenge for TMNT, I hope Rita's Rewind can do it for Power Rangers. It's definitely capturing that 16-bit beat-em-up style, but bringing in a whole lot of modern graphical tweaks and what looks like a decent variety of gameplay. It's also harkening back to the OG Power Rangers, which are the ones that I remember from my childhood, and if it's even 80% as good as Shredder's Revenge, this will be a totally great co-op adventure for me and my brother to play through. I really, really love TMNT. I thought there was just something so special about that, and I was shocked it was as fun as it was in the modern era. As long as Rita's Rewind controls well and plays good, I'm down to do this again, and it should be another fun weekend for me and my family. Number 2 is Screenbound. Screenbound to me is the most clever idea I saw out of any game show this weekend, because you're watching a Game Boy that informs how you navigate and platform around the world. It seems like it's a bit mind-meldy, maybe even a little bit motiony, weird sicknessy, but it does look absolutely epic and will require you to kind of find that groove in a brain space that only Screenbound requires. Such a super smart and super cool idea, and one that I'm very eager to try out. I feel like this game has a lot of range on my list. Even though the idea blew me away, if it does not play well or if it becomes repetitive, it could easily slide down into the teens. But for now, on its premise alone, I'm giving Screenbound the number 2 spot. I think one of the coolest things about this list, in comparison to the list you'd find for Xbox, PlayStation, or PC, is so many of these games are so darn unique. Yes, we're not getting a lot of the major titles that other platforms are getting, but frankly, there really just weren't that many major titles to begin with. So getting such a cavalcade of variety and ingenuity is really awesome. And that's what brings us to number 1, which actually is a big game, but also shows just a strange turning of the tides. Number one of Summer Game Fest weekend for Nintendo Switch is Horizon Adventures, the Lego Aloy game that for some reason is on Nintendo Switch. I don't quite get it. I still haven't come to terms with it, but Sony PlayStation is putting a first-party franchise, a first-party IP, a Guerrilla Games IP on Nintendo Switch, and this feels like they are breaking the industry. While everyone worried about Xbox bringing some of their games to other platforms, Sony said, here, Nintendo, have a Horizon game that's centered towards families. I honestly think it looks really fun, and I'm happy that they're leaning into the Lego charm more than the Horizon charm. It obviously still is Horizon, but rather than being a one-to-one recreation of Horizon Zero Dawn, it does take up the Lego perspective, more of a top-down perspective, Lego co-op, and all the Lego humor, throw in dolphins, sharks, bananas, hot dogs, and more. I'm really excited to play this one this fall on my Switch. Hopefully it runs well and looks good, because it does seem like a gorgeous game on the PS5 side. Hopefully Switch can get at least halfway there, and I'm just impressed. I color myself very lucky to be in an era where Nintendo has games from Xbox and from PlayStation, because just a short generation ago, people were trying to tell Nintendo to go third party. Take that, everybody else. Nintendo is freaking bouncing right now. And so we'll bounce out of this video, but those are 15 awesome games to look forward to on Switch, despite Summer Game Fest mostly skipping the system over. Let me know which one you're most excited for in the comments down below. And if there's any that I missed out on that I have to check out and that people need to know about, feel free to shout those out as well. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. Switch Force out.